What's cracking, guys? Bruce Matson here, your host of the show of Metric Scout Fantasy Football. And today I'm giving you 5 wide receivers that you can think about buying in Dynasty Fantasy Football. These aren't just buys. I'm not that cookie cutter type of dude that just drops a video and says, here's 5 guys you buy. This is more like suggestions. I'm trying to think outside the box, trying to find those edges in ADP, the DLF Trade Finder, and try to find those values to help you guys out wheel and deal in your markets. It's about being active. It's about finding those guys who are being underappreciated in some leagues. In some of these leagues, some of these guys are going to be overvalued. That's how it is. Some leagues are different from each other. We have to talk about that. It's not just one market. There's just millions and millions of Dynasty Fantasy Football markets out there. And if I can just give you suggestions of a few players that you can attempt in your leagues, whether it's possible or not, this gives you something to do to try to make your Dynasty Fantasy Football team better. And that's what I'm here for. If that's something you're into, hit that subscribe button because I'm pumping out videos on the daily. Not everybody else is doing that. And I'm here to help you win and get better. But with that being said, let's look at those 5 buys I got for you at wide receiver. The first wide receiver I'm going to talk about is a screaming value. He is dirt cheap. He is free, and he's in a very good situation. If he doesn't hit, no big deal. We just toss that bad boy back into the waiver wire, but he's dirt free right now. You can probably get him as a throw-in a trade. You can get him like last few rounds of your startup draft. Right now, an ADP is being valued as the wide receiver 99. ADP of 225, so 220, 230 range of drafts. Late round pick. Late round guy. Dirt free. I'm talking about Amari Rodgers from the Green Bay Packers. He's paired with Aaron Rodgers. Devontae Adams is gone. He was a 3rd round pick last year. Profiles as a thick slot receiver, and someone's got to emerge from the ashes of this wide receiver group. Somebody has to do it. Why not the young 3rd rounder? I get it. They're going to be thinking about drafting another wide receiver in this draft. They may draft 2 or 3 wide receivers in this draft. However, the course of time, though, wide receivers take some time to develop in the system. Rodgers already has 1 year into the system, so this might be his turn to go off. Or this might not be. Who knows? But he's dirt free, so why does it matter? But he's competing with Sammy Watkins, Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, Juwan Renfrey, Malik Taylor, Reek Gafford, Chris Blair. That is not a sexy roster. What's going to happen here? Who's going to come up and be the main receiving threat? Amari Rodgers is dirt cheap, a guy that you can place a chip on, and he profiles as a slot receiver with some after-the-catch ability, has good hands, and the fact that you can get him at wide receiver 99, technically wide receiver 100 in startup drafts, just makes this an easy get. There's not many other wide receivers in this range that you may even want to target. With Aaron Rodgers there, with him being a younger wide receiver, this is only his 2nd year of his career. We may see him blossom a little bit. He may blossom due to default. Even though they bring in some rookies, that does not mean he won't get the opportunity to succeed. Amari Rodgers is a player you need to look at. Moving on to my 2nd player on the list today, another wide receiver that I think is undervalued. He's being underappreciated, but there's a lot of good things in his game, especially his situation. He's being valued as wide receiver 60, being drafted around the 129 area of rookie drafts, 130th. So very cheap still, super cheap. Last year had an 18% target share along with a 17% share of the air yards, and I'm talking about Tyler Boyd, wide receiver of the Cincinnati Bengals, still has 2 more years left on his contract, and he's a key contributor to the offense. Something happens to either Jamar Chase or T. Higgins. It might be wheels up for this dude. He can put up some big numbers, especially from a fantasy football standpoint. Had 10 double-digit PPR weeks last year. 3 of those were over 20 PPR fantasy points. And this guy would be at the end of your roster. You'd be using him off and on your flex, one of the last wide receivers off your bench, and has the upside if something happens to Higgins, if something happens to Chase, that can give you wide receiver 1 results, if not good wide receiver 2 numbers. And the fact that he has the ability to go boom on your lineup and is going to be active on this Bengals team for quite some time. I imagine he may even get extended. I like him as an asset, especially around the 130th overall area in startup drafts. I feel like you can get him for a decent price off the trade market, especially once rookie drafts start hitting. Maybe you get him for a second, maybe even a third. A wide receiver 60 is pretty cheap in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Moving on to my third wide receiver on this list, the third guy that I'm suggesting you buy this month, I'm going to be talking about my boy. I talked to him up all season and all offseason last year. My favorite rookie of last year's class. Hit it in the comments if you know. It's Rashod Bateman. Wide receiver 36 right now, being drafted around 71 overall, the 70 range. Maybe a little later, maybe a little bit before that. Say the 70-ish range of drafts. This guy flashed as a rookie. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't pretty, but he flashed. He made some plays happen. He had some decent games, had a 17% target share, 11.2 yards per reception, 8.9 average depth of target, and an 18% share of the air yards. The quarterback position was a wreck last year for the Ravens. Injuries. He came in mid-year and had to start slow. I look for him to blossom, and I'm here to buy the talent. I'm here to buy the talent at a discount. Wide receiver 36, for some people that's rich. For other people, that's a deal. For me, that's a deal. I'm always here to buy the talent. He's a very talented player, early breakout age in college over at Minnesota, and was productive throughout his collegiate career, has that first-round draft capital. It's everything you want. And then during his rookie season, he flashed a bit. He had some decent games. And from viewing the DLF Trade Finder, it really depends on what league you're in and how he's being valued, because there are some leagues where he's not being valued too much. You can get him for a couple second-round rookie picks. You can get him with like a trade back or whatever in your rookie draft. In other leagues, you're going to have to shell out some firsts. You're going to have to pay up a little bit. But there's a chance that you can land Rashod Bateman on the cheap just because of that perception that he's on the Ravens. That this is a slow volume offense. They don't pass much. Last year went to hell with the Ravens offense once the quarterback position went to hell. Rashod Bateman could be a buy. Even though he's listed at wide receiver 36 ADP, he could be a little bit cheaper than that in your league. That's what I'm talking about. He may be cheaper on the trade market than he is in startup drafts. Think about Rashod Bateman. See if you can catch him on the cheap. If not, you're good. As long as you make that attempt, that's all that matters. Moving on to the fourth wide receiver on this list. And I feel like this guy's a buy. He's also kind of a sell. He's kind of like a test and see on the market. Kick them tires. See what you can do. So I'm really coming at you with both angles. He had a big value change this offseason. Went to a new team, a grandioso team, and then one of the key contributors of that team just left, dipsetted in the market, and now it's him and some jabronis out there, and now we got to figure out what's going to happen here. I'm talking about veteran wide receiver, TikToker, Juju Smith-Schuster. He has an ADP of 61.67. He's wide receiver 28 right now. Not super cheap, but on the trade market, though, you can get him decent depending on how the league values him. He could be overvalued. He could be undervalued. I'm noticing on the DLF Trade Finder over at DynastyLeagueFootball.com, there are some people selling him off for a couple second-round rookie picks. There are also some people holding him over a barrel, trying to get a first and some change. So you just got to watch out. You just got to test the market either way, whether you're trying to sell or you're trying to buy. It might be the time to test right now or hold and see if he can gel with Mahomes. But right now, it's not a bad price tag to pay considering he's not an old wide receiver yet. He could be a decent wide receiver 3 to wide receiver 4 in your roster. I'd be kind of scared if he was my wide receiver 2. I'm not going to lie. I would not want to bank on that. But if I had him on my team as a speculative asset, hoping that he gels with Mahomes, hoping that this offense clicks, then I'm game with that. This offense is hurting at wide receiver. They got Miko Hardman, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Josh Gordon, Cornell Powell, Justin Watson, Darius Fountain, and Chris Finke. What the hell's going on there? They went from having a high-end, potent passing offense to having these jabronis. Juju Smith-Schuster has the opportunity to shine with a good quarterback. Hasn't had that for a while. Now he's healthy. He's been injured off and on throughout his career. In 2020, not too long ago, when he was more healthy, He had 3 wide receiver 1 weeks and 4 wide receiver 2 performances. That isn't too bad. He has the potential to do that still, to give you some return on the investment, and could get a little bit more considering this is a high volume passing offense. Again, he's a speculative asset, but with him being a speculative asset, the range of outcomes has him either going boom or going doom. And it is what it is. I'm here to see what I can get for him. Maybe I can catch him for cheap on the market. Maybe in some of my leagues. I'm not going to be selling him for cheap, but I am looking to buy him for cheap. Finally, my last wide receiver on the list today, my wide receiver 5, and I'm not going dirt cheap on you. I want to give you someone on the upper tier, someone for you to look out for, someone for you to think about at least. You don't have to buy him. I would wait for rookie drafts when rookie pick values are at their peak, and also while you're in the draft, once your wide receiver is off the board and you're ready to flip your first round pick because there's no one left for you to want to buy, you may want to look for this guy. He's being valued as the wide receiver 17, going off the board around the 40 range. Actually has a 41.67 average draft position, and I'm talking about the Colts, Michael Pittman. Last season, he had a 26% target share and 33% of the air yards. That's big-time numbers. Usually, you're considered a big-time alpha when you're around that 30% range in target share. Had 26 last year, which is very solid. He's getting a decent quarterback upgrade with Matt Ryan. I wouldn't say it's a big-time upgrade, but it is better than Carson Wentz. He was top 20 in yards per route run last year. He also had 5 games with 20 PPR fantasy points. He's shown to be productive, and we should see an increase in this productive with a higher acuity of targets coming his way, and the competition on the roster is laughable. They are in position to draft a wide receiver. That's one of their main needs. However, they don't pick till 42 overall. So it's going to be a while. All the top wide receivers are going to be off. They may be able to get a George Pickens. They may be able to get somebody else. But if they want to get one of those top wide receivers regarding this draft, they're going to have to trade up a little bit to get that. That might impact that rookie's ability to be able to produce in year 1. They may get some opportunity and flash well for us if we draft that wide receiver, but that wide receiver that they draft in the 2nd round, 3rd round should not hinder Michael Pittman's production. But the competition here on the roster, Ashton Doolin, who went to Malone. Paris Campbell has been injured off and on throughout his career. Desmond Patton, Michael Strachan, Kiki Kuti, and DeMichael Harris. So really nothing there. A bunch of jabronis right behind Michael Pittman. So this is his time to shine. We got Matt Ryan in the dome ready to sling the rock and hand the ball off to Jonathan Taylor. And then Michael Pittman ready to reel in them jump balls. Again, I want you to just test the market with them. He can be a buy. He can also be a sell. I really just want to kick the tires and see what can happen. When you look at the DLF trade finder at dynastyleaguefootball.com, he's being valued all over the place. Usually you're seeing him go for a first and some change. So my recommendation is just wait for your rookie draft. Wait till you're on the clock in the 1st round. Usually, how I would prefer it is if you're in the middle of the 1st or back into the 1st, and if your guys are gone, you can't get any other trades to happen, you may want to poke around at Michael Pittman. Maybe you can get him for that first straight up. Maybe a 1st and a 3rd. A 1st and some change somehow is what we're usually seeing on some of those. Sometimes a little bit more than that. Sometimes a little bit less, but I don't see that happening too much compared to the other deals that we're seeing on the trade finder for some of the other players. I feel like Michael Pittman is a guy you might be able to sneak away with in some of your leagues. Not all your leagues. Some of you guys aren't going to be able to pull it off. I may not be able to pull it off, but I'm here to think outside the box here. If I'm on the clock, it's mid-1st, late 1st, my guys are gone, I might try to see if I can snag them up. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be told no. More like 90 times out of 100 or 95 times out of 100. But that one time, that one listener to the show who makes that one offer, snags them, I'm going to be happy for it. I'm going to be super happy. And that's what I'm here for. If I can give you that recommendation to let you sneak away with a player that you shouldn't be sneaking away with due to capitalizing the market, due to finding those edges, that's what I love to see. I love helping you guys out. I love coming up with ideas. Let me know of any ideas that you guys have for some of the trades you got going on. Some of these guys you're trying to buy low on. And I'm not trying to get you guys to throw trash offers at your league mates. It kind of sounds like that sometimes, especially when we're reading the tea leaves here from the trade finder and stuff. But really, these deals actually happen. These are part of the market. And we're also reading from ADP. If some people are slipping up and other leagues are slipping up here, there's a chance your league might be. There's a chance this guy's league might be. There's a lot of people watching the show, and if I can help one person out, that's good enough for me. But I love talking strategy. I love talking ways to help you guys out and just trying to be creative with it, because right now it's all the ho-hum analysis coming out here. It's all the same thing. Let's try to find some edges. Let's try to find some ways to be active in our leagues. Let's get fired up. Let's make some trades happen. With that being said, make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. Every subscription matters. It fuels me to keep putting out this content. It fires me up to help you guys out and everything else. Again, I want to thank you, and I'll catch you next time.